I've talked a lot this week on Front Row Tampa Bay about the high quality care and major research at Moffitt Cancer Center. But Moffitt is also concerned about serving patients who might not otherwise receive the screenings or care they actually need. Joining us now are Cathy Grant, Director of Moffitt Diversity, and Vanessa Rivera-Colon, Program Manager for Empower, which we'll explain in just a moment. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much.
Cathy, when did Moffitt realize we need a diversity program?
Well, it was several years ago when we realized that our community was not reflected in our patient population. And as a result of that, we really worked to emphasize that the Cancer Center is open to all different communities and make it so that it's more comfortable for individuals to seek care at the Cancer Center.
Do you think there was a perception in certain communities, let's say low-income communities, that, well, that's a world-class cancer center. What would they want with someone like me? Was that kind of the attitude they had?
Absolutely. And Moffitt's worked really hard to try to change their perception that that's the case. You know, when we go out in the community, we'll even hear, well, there's valet parking. We don't want a valet parker. We can't afford to do that. And so we made them understand that's for our patients, to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're safe as you're entering the Cancer Center. So Vanessa and her team have also worked very hard to correct those misperceptions.
I looked at your mission statement, or some of your values, I should say, maybe is the best way to put it. And one of the two words that caught my eye, cultural competency. Explain what that means. Vanessa, would you like to explain?
Definitely. Our approach with outreach is to really provide linguistic and culturally competent health education care. So we have staff that speak 3 different languages. We also, at Moffitt, people who speak different languages, we provide services for them as well. And just to really be aware of the cultural differences, the wonderful things that our different cultures bring, and to provide service that is excellent to all cultures.
When we talk about cancer screenings, there are various forms of cancer screenings, quite obviously. Mm-hmm. Are people ignoring them when they shouldn't be, when it is available to them? Is that what you've discovered?
We do find that at times we are, as many of us do, you know, we should eat better, we should do exercise, we should get our screenings on time. So we do find that sometimes people in the community are not getting to screenings on time. And that's really our message. If we get to screenings early, we have better chances of survival. So it's really just a matter of understanding what are the barriers to getting to the screenings.
Moffitt has many clinical trials, and you want diversity in the people who participate in those clinical trials. So how do you go out and recruit people? How do you reach out?
Well, Vanessa and her team will often make sure that our community has a better understanding of what clinical trials mean. Oftentimes, folks have the misperception that it means they're going to treat me as a guinea pig. And we're trying to correct those misperceptions, help them to understand that without their participation, it will be very difficult for new therapies, new drugs to be developed that are responsive to the diversity in our population. Not everyone is going to respond similarly, and the only way to make sure that the drugs or the therapies are effective is to be a part of that process.
We had Dr. Dalton here yesterday talking about personalized treatments for cancer and the huge database now. I think it's close to 90,000, and you have a network of hospitals that share that information. And the truth is, if someone was part of a clinical trial, or they were part of the database, let's say, the information gathered for them might only benefit them, but someone else within that database. Is that correct?
That is completely correct, and it can benefit them, but also people, you know, other community members in the future.
Is there any way to measure how educating people, getting them in for screenings, getting them into clinical trials, have improved survival rates for various forms of cancer?
They definitely, with breast cancer, with colon cancer, cervical, the earlier the better. The earlier the stage those types of cancers are detected, the outcomes are much better. And that's our mission, to get people engaged and to know that if they don't have insurance, there are programs out in the community. So it's not the situation where I don't have insurance, I can't get screened. There are definitely programs out there to help out.
Certain minority groups are more susceptible to certain forms of cancer, so you have to let them know. Please, for African American men, many of them are diagnosed with prostate cancer at a relatively young age.
Mike must have fell off or something.
Most of us, the rest of the population might be at post-50, go in for your PSA and so forth. And I have had some friends, Ricky Reynolds, a former player for the Bucks, who was only, I think, 41 or 42, diagnosed with prostate cancer. Thankfully, he was successfully treated. So these are the things we have to be more mindful of, correct?
Absolutely, and it's really having that relationship with a medical provider, with a doctor, to be able to really have that conversation. What types of screening should I have? Should I have it earlier because of my family history or my racial or ethnic background? And you're looking at that with prostate cancer. You're also looking at health disparities. We know that African American women get less breast cancer than Caucasian women, but they die more often. So we really have to have that awareness, really be empowered to take action for our health.
Say that again, that's an interesting statistic. So fewer, lower incidence of breast cancer.
Yes, so African
but a
American
higher mortality
rate. So we really have to start looking at that. We're talking about people's lives and, you know, being aware of changes in our body, having that relationship with the doctor that we're going at least once a year. And then we also advocate the healthy lifestyles. It's so important for us to eat healthy, to not smoke, to do exercise. And I know it's a hard, it's a process, but taking those steps will definitely help our health outcomes.
And Cathy, when it comes to creating diversity among your employees, how much of a challenge has that been, or has it been easier than you might thought it would have been?
It's not too difficult of a challenge. Moffitt's a great place to work, and there are lots of individuals who are excited to be a part of our team. And so our goal is always to have the right person on the team at all times and identify the best candidates. We're very fortunate that we have a wide variety of employees who are able to bring a lot of different ideas and thoughts to the process of serving the community with cancer care.
And we're talking about from your top positions down to your nurses' aides, everybody across the board, you want that.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes those people are the first ones that are engaging with the patient. Correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, when we even think of the language services that we provide, that starts with the people that our patients interact with as soon as they enter our door. We ask them, what language would you prefer to receive your cancer care in? So that starts from the very beginning and making sure that everyone understands why it's so important to understand the culture of our patients so that we can be responsive. Research has shown that when we're respectful of a patient's culture, that their health outcomes are better. So we want to make sure that we integrate that in the continuum of care as well.
We have a short video clip we want to show from Moffitt Cancer Center, and I believe we're ready to play that right now.
Hi, I'm Shelton Quarles. After being diagnosed with colon cancer several years ago, I realized the importance of health screenings and wellness checkups. We all have a role to play in keeping our community healthy. I'm excited to work with Moffitt Cancer Center and other local organizations on a special event to help families take charge of their health. For a variety of reasons, the number of men in our community without access to preventative health care services is increasing. The Men's Health Forum offers information and education in English and Spanish on a range of health-related topics: cancer screenings, wellness checkups, tips for leading a healthy lifestyle, and much more. Since the first Men's Health Forum in 2000, more than 10,000 men have received quality health screenings and other benefits at no cost. This year, the Men's Health Forum will take place in the Marshall Center at the University of South Florida on Saturday, March 9th, 2013 from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. For more information, visit mhftampa.com.
I forgot that Shelton had been diagnosed with colon cancer, a young guy, once again, and a great guy. So it's interesting you recruited him, and I'm sure he happily did it on behalf of the Cancer Center. So that's part of your outreach. Now, where will one see that announcement? Would that be on your website? How do people get this information? Does it play on the air, on television stations? Is it, or just online? How do you do it?
We'll have that particular commercial online, and we hope that we have different television stations that would pick it up as a PSA. And it's really a rally for men. The Men's Health Forum, we're going into the 12th year where we provide all sorts of screenings. We collaborate with over 50 agencies here, hospitals, social service agencies, to provide a one-stop shop for the men who are underinsured, uninsured, and the coming date is March 9th. But that's one mechanism. We also just go out to the community, provide workshops in the community, and really focus on the whole continuum, from children all the way to, you know, adults, and focusing on prevention, intervention, the importance of screenings.
Well, as a guy, I can tell you that men are very reluctant. They ignore their health care. They really do. Not only in terms of lifestyle, but they don't like going to the doctor. They really don't. I'll confess, though, that I have become after 50, I know I don't look it. Much more proactive about, going to my urologist every year for the PSA and regular screenings, and you have to do it. But women are just so much better about it. It's just the nature of our makeup, I suppose. Right. Cathy, when you are recruiting people to work with this diversity in mind, do you find what you need right here in the Tampa Bay area, or do you have to reach beyond?
Absolutely, we find it right here in the Tampa Bay area. As Vanessa mentioned with the Men's Health Forum, we work with quite a few agencies, and they're all very encouraging and willing to join us in the effort to provide services and education and awareness to the men within the community. As it relates to the gentlemen and being less proactive, one of the things about the Men's Health Forum is that it's almost like a brotherhood for them. Once they're there, and wives do show up, some of them do require a little bit of encouragement, but once they're there, the men are very interested in their health, and what we are really trying to do is empower them to be more proactive. And we have some men who've come all 12 years, and then there are others who come and they don't return, but what we're at least doing is being able to instill some of those proactive values and see that there are other men who are willing to join them as well.
Absolutely, and you get somebody like Shelton to give a testimonial like
Absolutely.
that. It's fantastic. I want to thank you both for being here.
Thank
Very
you
much.
so
We
much.
appreciate it. We have another guest from Moffitt. In fact, one of the more creative people there. I think you'll agree with this, and
Absolutely.
Cathy is with him right now.